Hello, everyone. So today we'll be having an industry career panel, and it's going to be called Into the Life of a Program Manager, and it's from the desk of a senior program manager at Microsoft.
Thanks, Kristen. Hi, everybody. My name is Ted Wei, and I'm a program manager at Microsoft. I grew up in Taiwan and in Tucson, Arizona. I went to school in Michigan. Now I live here in the Seattle area. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. So our first question for Ted is, what first got you interested in pursuing the STEM fields and especially in tech?
For me, I think it was probably the same as a lot of you. It's just playing a lot of video games. I got exposed to a lot of technology, and it was really cool to just see all the different things that could be done. But over the years, I think I've started to realize there's a difference between consuming technology and creating technology. And so if you're playing a lot of video games and you're thinking, oh, I can play 10 hours a day, I really want you to think about, how beneficial that is. And it's great that you're doing this so that you're actually writing code, which is creating technology. I was really interested in math and problem solving. I took a lot of classes where we were solving puzzles and just doing more than just memorizing. And so it was really cool to be able to have that kind of opportunity. And I was just really interested in new technologies. As things were coming out, it was a really exciting time when computers were getting faster, the internet connection speeds were getting faster, and you could just see all the cool things that you could do with technology. And that just really drew me in to the STEM field.
Awesome. So our second question is, how did you narrow down your interest in tech to align with your goals?
Yeah, and I think this came down to really thinking about what I was really interested in. And in high school, I had some pretty diverse interests. I loved English and history and just debate. Yet in college, I studied electrical engineering and computer science. But I saw that you really want to have a broad range of experiences, because the way in which you think about English, for example, or history, just putting together thoughts, gathering a lot of different pieces of information and putting together something that's clear. These are skills that are actually really important in technology. But in college, we made a lot of really, really cool projects. So for example, one of the games that we worked on was like a mud game, which was all on the command line. So you would type things, like basically walk 5 steps, and then you would meet a monster, and you found pieces of gold. So our first project and one of my first coding projects was basically a money converter, right? So like 5 golds equaled like 10 silvers, which equaled like 50 coppers, which equaled whatever. And basically the idea was, if you found 3 gold and 2 coppers, how much silver was that? So it was really kind of cool to see this build up from that first project into essentially this big virtual world, all text-based, which was really cool. And then I also did another project where we built like a wireless radio, where on the breadboard we had a receiver and a transmitter, and then we could play music. And because they were broadcasting that signal, and then you put your hand and you cut it off, and the music stops. And that was just really cool to see how physically, the technology enabled you to do all of these things. And I think just as you take more classes, as you build more projects, I think you start finding what are some things that are more interesting, and those are the things I think that you just gravitate towards.
Nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of the folks I think watching this are probably thinking about what you want to do when you grow up, and I hope I could be encouraging in that you're not going to be locked in forever. You have the opportunity to build some very base skills, and then you could do a lot of different things with those skills. So don't feel like you do one thing and you're stuck there forever. But when you're thinking about your career, I really encourage you to think it at the intersection of 3 different things. And the first one is, what do I like to do? So there's things that you like to do, and there's things that you don't like to do. So you're going to be working for many, many years. And so ideally, it's something that you enjoy doing. And you may also want to think at a deeper level about those things, in the sense that maybe you enjoy doing one thing. Um, maybe you like playing basketball, and maybe it's not necessarily the actual playing of basketball, but what is it about basketball? Maybe it's because you like to interact with a lot of people. You enjoy spending time with people. That's why you like basketball. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do basketball. It just means that if you do something where you get to interact with a lot of people and you enjoy it, you could enjoy that too. So when you think about what you like to do, think about some of the deeper things of why you like it, because that could apply to a lot of different things. The second one would be, what are you good at? So there are some things that I like to do, like singing, but I'm not very good at it. So if I think about a career, I'd love to sing, but if I'm not good at it, then it might not be a good idea to go into a singing career. Uh, on the other hand, it's also the third thing to think about, which is what benefits my society or the local community. You think about what would really bring value. And I do also want to say on the practical side, where you can make a good living. Because to be honest, you probably don't want to live in your parents' home when you're 35 years old. You want to be able to find a fulfilling career that you're good at, that you like, and that you're able to benefit society, or that people find value in. And so one question that I've read before, which I think is really, really good, is what if you were ranked, that 1,000th best person in the world, right? And I think that really helps put things into perspective, because let's say you wanted to go into acting. There's probably, 10 to 20 actors in America who make millions and millions of dollars, and maybe the next 100 or 200 which make a decent living, but then everybody else struggle. And so if you wanted to go into acting, it might be really, really tough to be the best actor. You might be the 1,000th best actor, and it might be really tough. Maybe you think about, you want to go into painting, or you want to play in the NBA, or you want to play video games for a living. If you were the 1,000th best at it in the world, think about how that would play out. And then I think that kind of puts into perspective whether that might be a good career choice. Now, for all I know, you are the #1 painter in the world, and by all means, go paint. Or you are an amazing basketball player, then go join the NBA. But if you're not that, and you're the 1,000th best, then you might want to think about other career choices. So this is just more practical advice. I know it kind of goes against advice where people say pursue your passions and stuff like that, but I think it's also good to think practically about what you want to make a career out of versus what you're interested in and what you can always do on the side.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Yeah, and like I think it says here, like if you were the top 1,000th coder or engineer or doctor or plumber or nurse, hey, you could do really, really well as a career. And so I think that just kind of puts on the other side of the coin that there are some careers where you really, really need to be in the top 1% of the world, but there are other careers where if you were in the top 50%, you could still do very well. And so that's just one of the things to consider as you're thinking about career. But again, that doesn't mean you're going to have to do this forever. You could try a job or occupation, and if it doesn't work out, you can always try something else. But I think it's really, more about myself here. When I think about what I like, it's technology. And what I like about technology is just the ability to build things pretty easily and to scale. So in building things, you're doing a lot of stuff around web pages, and you're doing, data coding and engineering, and all you need is a computer, and you can build some amazing things. And that's what I love about technology, because if you wanted to build, say, a car, if you wanted to build, a helicopter, or if you wanted to build a product, it actually takes a lot of equipment just to be able to build something like that. But if you wanted to build a web page, if you wanted to build the next Instagram, you could do that from your computer, which is really cool. And the other thing is just scale. And that's what I also love about technology, where you build the next Instagram and 1 million people can start using it the next day. But if you wanted to build, the next greatest car, you got to spend millions of dollars just to set up that factory. And then you might have something that somebody can drive. But if you want a million people to drive it, that's a whole other hurdle.
Mhm.
So having that technology where you could build something easily and scale it easily is just really cool. I love working with people. I know it's kind of tough during these COVID times when we're all isolated at home, but just interacting with people is something I really enjoy, and just solving problems for people. Um, I majored in biomedical engineering in graduate school, which is basically putting together engineering and the medical field. So how do we build things to help people? And so to me, that was just one of the things that you know merged both things that I really love. When I was in graduate school, my project was to look for lung cancer on CT scans using AI technologies. And so it was really cool to be able to take this technology and to say, hey, if radiologists use it, they could help find lung cancer and help people live longer. That was really fulfilling to me. So that technology and people part.
Mhm.
Um, for me, it's also about clarity and vision, where there's there's a lot of information out there, but how do you take it and bring it into a vision that people can understand and people want to rally around? That's what I really enjoy. Um, and it's also pretty interesting, as it says here, that in college I took an entrepreneurship class, and basically entrepreneurship is all about starting your own company, being in a startup, and being your own boss. And one of the exercises there was to look online for job postings and to look for my ideal job. So, just like any other assignment, I went online, I did the job, I did it, I found some job posting, and then, I forgot about the assignments. And then, a few years later, when I graduated from school and I was moving out here, I found that assignment, and I was like, wow, it was actually a Microsoft PM job. And here I am, a Microsoft PM. So it's one of those things that was kind of interesting how things just work out that way.
Yeah, it's really cool. So we want to also ask, what is a PM and what is your like day to day like as a senior program manager?
Yeah, great question. And I know most people watching this, you're probably doing this because you want to be a developer, and you're like, what's a PM and why should I care? I think program managers are important in the sense that we do a lot of things that really align with Microsoft's core leadership principles. Um, you know, Listed here, we'll go into a little bit more detail later on, but just how do you drive clarity and generate energy and deliver success? And I also see myself as the voice of the customer, meaning that when we're building stuff, I want to represent the people who are going to use it, and then make sure that what we build is actually going to be useful to people. So these are all the different aspects of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. So when you mean drive clarity, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Clarity is something that all of you as students, you get, right? Your parents give you clarity. Clean up your room, take out the garbage. You know exactly what you need to do. Your teachers are very, very clear. Do this homework assignment. Do problems 1 through 5. Turn it in by Friday, right? Everything is very, very clear at this stage in life. But for some of the older students who are probably watching this as you're going into high school, you're probably finding things are a little bit more open-ended. Instead of, do problems 1 through 5 and turn it in by Friday, it's uh, write a research paper and, try to answer this question. And they're not going to tell you exactly how you're going to do it. They're not going to tell you what the answers are. You have to think of this yourself. And the working world is kind of like that. You imagine you were on the team that was making the Minecraft game, and you need to come up with a crafting recipe for an axe or a shovel or some other thing. How are you going to do it? Nobody's going to tell you. There's no answer key. So or maybe maybe you should add another tool that players can use. Which tool will it be? What is it going to do? How many resources it's going to cost? All of these questions need to have an answer, and you will have to come up with the answer. So as a program manager, part of my job is to bring clarity into our work. And the way we do it is to figure out what are the things that we are going to work on, and why we should be working on them. So I talk to a lot of people who use our products and just try to understand what their needs are, and then basically say these are the things that we should do. Now, there's always going to be more work than time, and you probably face this today. You have 5 different assignments from 3 different classes, and you either have to pull an all-nighter or you're not going to be able to get things done. And that's the same way at work. There's 10 different things and only 3 people to do the work. What are you going to choose? And driving clarity also means to be explicit about what we're going to do, but also what we're not going to do. So who knows? In Minecraft, there's a tool in there. People put a lot of thought into why it's there. And there are other things that could be in there that's not, and people put a lot of thought into that too. And so that's really about driving clarity, bringing some clear priorities, the things that we should do to the workplace.
Awesome. And when you say generate energy, do you want to elaborate on that as well?
Yeah. And I think this is all about getting people to do things and moving in the same direction. So many of you have probably worked on school projects where you work in teams. You might have, a couple people on your team, and I'm sure you've been on great and amazing teams and on teams which probably didn't turn out so well. So what does it mean by generate energy is really about how do you motivate your team to all accomplish the same goal. And I love this quote that's said here, where if you want to build a ship, don't drum up men or people to gather wood and divide the work and give orders, right? Don't focus on, okay, let's build a ship, and the way I'm going to get a ship is I'm going to force people to go gather wood, and I'm going to tell everybody what they're going to do, and then I'm going to order them to do this. No one's going to build a ship that way. But if you teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea, if you paint a picture of what you want to build, again, going back to being, if you were on the team building Minecraft and you paint the picture of, wow, we could build this thing, this world where a lot of people could come in and do a lot of these things and interact with each other and build these worlds. Wouldn't that be so cool? And then people get excited about it, and they're like, okay, I want to be part of this vision, and I'm going to do the work. Because just like your groups in class, there's going to be time when you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. This is so boring. I can't get through this. And when you can inspire people and say, hey, look, these are the things that we need to do. If we do it, we can accomplish this, and this will be the result. Then you can generate that energy. And so, how do you create a vision that people are excited about? How do you know what you want to build? And how do you inspire people to all work in that direction? That's really all about generating energy.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to elaborate on also delivering success?
Yeah, and delivering success is really all about how we can be successful in the sense of really making value and bringing a benefit. So, for example, there's a lot of things that I can do. I can post online and I can say, hey, I'm going to sing for you, and just pay me $10 and we'll set up a Zoom meeting and I will sing. Now, is that going to be successful? Is that going to earn money? I don't know. Maybe not, right? Especially after they hear me singing. So it's really about thinking through what are you going to measure to be successful? Are people going to go to your webpage? Are people going to use your program? And what is it that will be success? And of course, every product has different metrics. Some people care about how many people use it. Some people care about how much money people will pay for it, whether people will buy it, right? So at the end of the day, you have to deliver success too. Just like in your career, you want to think about what you like and what you're good at, but what society will value. At work, it's the same thing. If you spend a lot of time building something, but nobody buys it, it might not be useful either. So we're also committed to having to deliver that success.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So what are some skills that you'll need to become a program manager for kids who are interested?
I think it's a lot of the same skills as being a good developer. A lot of program managers, especially in technology, have developer backgrounds. So I did my undergraduate degree in computer science and electrical engineering. And so it's really, really important that you understand the technology. I work with developers and engineers every day. And so if I couldn't understand technology, if I don't know how to program, then I would not be able to have a good working relationship with them. So understanding the technology is super, super critical. Um, the other one is now getting into some of the soft skills, but collaborating well with people. You're going to be getting a bunch of people to try to go in one direction. You're going to be talking to a lot of different teams. So, for example, in school, maybe you just have like a 3-person group, and your 3-person group is responsible for, a project which is maybe like a web page, for example. And that's great. You just work with the 3 people. You might have some issues working with the 3 people, but you deliver and you make that web page at the end. Okay. But now, what if your group of 3 people, you need to ask another group of 3 people to create all the pictures for this web page, and another group of 5 people, they're going to write all the different content for the web page. So now your project just became really, really complicated, where let's say your project was due next Friday, and you need to get this other group of people to make all the pictures, and this other group of picture to write all the different things that need to be go on the web page. And if somebody is late and is not able to meet that deadline, what do? Or if the other team has a different vision than you, you think you want your website to look like this, and they think it should have a different theme, and their colors and your color don't completely match, what do? Right? So collaborating well with people is really important, because you want to get everybody to be on the same page and go towards the same goal. Understanding customer needs is also super important, that I want to understand the people who are going to use my product. And I love this quote from, that's attributed to Henry Ford, where he said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Right? Henry Ford was famous for the assembly line, for creating all of these cars. So sometimes you ask somebody, what do they want? And they say, hey, I just want a faster horse. And you could spend a lot of time trying to make a faster horse, but in reality, a car would be the thing that solves their problem. Then it's also about creativity, solving problems, innovating, and pushing the boundaries of technology to really build something that will solve people's problems and delight them along the way. So these are just a bunch of the skills that I think are important. But foundationally, understanding technology is at its core. So all the things that you're doing right now, learning how to code, getting a solid foundation in STEM is super important.
Awesome. So yeah, do you have any advice, tips for our developers in our program if they're interested in a career as a program management, kind of what they can be doing now?
Yeah, yeah. If you're interested in being something like a program manager, then yeah, like try running for an officer position of your club, or make your own club like Kristen here. Lead something and do it and see if you enjoy it. Some people love crafting a vision, working with people, bringing people together, and then seeing the fruit of that. Other people, would rather just kind of do the work and not deal with all of this stuff. Some people don't like that interpersonal conflict or anything like that. And if you are an officer, you have a lot of responsibilities for whether something is successful or not. People might criticize you, and that happens in the real world. So run as an officer, see if you like it, and I think that will say a lot. Another thing about understanding customers is listen to your parents or your teachers or others when it comes to technology. When they complain about something, when they say, "Oh, I wish I could do this," and and then see if you can come up with a solution. So, for example, maybe everyone is stuck at home right now, and you're thinking about, wouldn't it be great if we could have this, right? That's the kind of solution that you can come up with, and then that can help you in your creative thinking. And again, STEM, super important. You got to nail your foundations and technology and math, just to be able to understand things and programming. But on the other hand, being able to communicate is also really important. You could be the most brilliant programmer in the world, but if you can't communicate your idea, then that's not very useful. So all your other classes are also very important here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lastly, we would just want to extend a thank you to Ted for his time and in talking about what it's like to be a program manager and kind of his road to being a program manager now at Microsoft. So thank you so much for answering all our career panel questions, Ted.
Great. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and really wish everybody the best out there, and look forward to all the great things that you'll build.